I actually didn't even realize it was you that I was going to be talking to today. So I'm even more excited now.
I know I was so excited when Sarah said, "Oh, we have Leslie Samuel to come on." I'm like, "Leslie, you're kidding." So long ago, and you were just starting out with the blogging and stuff then, I think.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. I was just getting going. It was my first, I think that was my first speaking engagement ever. And I was just very excited to be speaking in front of people. So yeah, a lot has happened over the years, but I'm excited that we're getting to connect again.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear how you've transformed over the years now too, because you were doing blogging then, you hadn't gotten into podcasting, you made that switch later. And I was reading up on other stuff. I was actually just listening to one of your podcasts before we
Oh,
started
cool.
here. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be really energized now because that energy level is unbelievable.
Hey, if you're gonna be, doing stuff from home and creating content, you might as well do it with things that you're excited about and share that excitement with the world. So I'm all for it.
Oh yeah, I want to hear all about it. And also the message that you had that was create content, inspire others, and change the world
Change the world.
while building a solid online business.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. That, to me, that's what it's all about. Because I mean, anyone can create content, but if that content doesn't serve a purpose, then to me it's just not as meaningful. So if we can align what we do in business to how we want to have that impact on the world, I mean, I think that's just an amazing combination. So that's what gets me excited every day.
and I have a whole list of questions that I can ask you, but then when I was listening to your podcast, I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just let Leslie talk the whole time because there's no shortage of things that you're going to be able to help everybody with. But just a background for us, our audience is people who want to create online courses or are creating
Okay.
online courses, and a lot of business coaches and course creators and service providers and also bloggers. So we have a pretty wide range, but the common thread is courses and online courses. All right. So there's so many different ways we can go, and I'm hoping people will just chime in and ask questions. So anybody listening now, or if you listen to this later, you can pop your questions into the comments. We're on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can put questions wherever you are and we will see them. Leslie, I think you should be able to see them as well as they come up in the feed here. So that'll be great. Some people already know you. And I think one person said, Dr. Felicia Vaughn said, grateful you were around when she was homeschooling her eldest son in biology.
Oh yes, the biology days. Yes, because I also had a biology website with biology videos and so on, and that was fun as well.
So you want to share a little bit about how you got into the whole blogging and then podcasting in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was back in 2008, and I was teaching at a high school, a boarding academy where the students live there, teaching science and math. And while there, I thought, hey, I stumbled onto a website teaching you how to make money online with freebie websites. So I started making money with freebie websites, and then the back then the way I was getting people to work with was by being very active in forums. But the thing that I realized was that in order to continue to get, people to do business with me, I had to be always in the forums, answering questions and so on. There was no way for people to kind of just find me on the internet. So I stumbled onto an ebook, a random ebook about blogging and how you could start a blog, and people that would then start finding you in Google and all that good stuff. And I was like, this sounds good. I think I want to do some of that. So I started a blog. I was known as the freebie guy, teaching you everything you need to know about freebies. And then over time, I realized I didn't really care about freebies. That wasn't exciting to me. But I was excited about the blogging and how I was making money with affiliate marketing and those kinds of stuff. So I started evolving to teaching people about how to actually blog. And then eventually I said, you know what? Okay, this is going well, but what if I were to take this, online business stuff and apply it in something completely unrelated to marketing, to business, and so on, just something that I'm excited about. And that was biology. So I started a biology blog. That took off. Next thing you know, I remember the first month, I got 400 people to the blog. And I was so excited. Like, what? 400 people show up to see me teach biology? This is amazing. Next month, it got to 800. And then it went to 1,200. And then it got to 2,000. And then it just kept going up to where I was getting like 100,000 people in a month that were consuming my content. And for me, that was exciting because I had people from all over the world that come from all kinds of different socioeconomic backgrounds. And they were able to learn stuff from me, little me in my basement, drawing on my screen and creating content, putting it on this blog. And it was helping so many people. Now, the reason I started that blog is because I wanted to be a university professor, didn't have a PhD or anything of that sort, but I knew the content. So I figured, hey, I'm not going to wait for no PhD. I don't even want a PhD. I'm just going to teach it. But interestingly enough, a few years in, that blog landed me a job as a university professor in a doctoral program, teaching all of these really cool classes without a PhD.
Which is amazing. Yeah.
It is extremely amazing. So now I'm teaching, but I'm realizing that I'm spending, I'm doing my business, my 2 blogs, I'm teaching. They had me as a requirement for my job. They were paying for me to do a PhD. And then my wife and I had our first child, our son, Noah, and I had no time to be with my family. Mm-hmm. And I was like, nah, this is not what I wanted, because for me, family is like the most important thing. So I remember one day I went to my wife and I said, hey, this something has to change, because I felt like my wife was a single mom and I was out there doing all these things and being so busy that I have no time to breathe. And I said, I either have to leave my job or leave my business. And she looked at me and she said, I think it's time for you to leave your job. I was like, all right, I'm done. Like the next day I went into the chair of the department. I told her this would be my last year because I know it would take them a while to fill my position because of the kind of position it was. So yeah, I left my job the next year. That was in 2014, and I've been blogging ever since. I focus on blogging. I have a podcast that I started back in 2010. Have been doing it since then. I do a lot of speaking and so on, and now I'm into business coaching. That's like my main focus. And things have just evolved in so many ways. And for me, basically, I get to do what excites me. I get to come on this call right now and speak to you guys and all the people that are tuning in and who are going to be watching the replay and share things that I'm passionate about. I don't see the downside to that. I love what I do, and I love to help people realize that, hey, you could take an idea, like a concept, and you can build a business around it. And you don't have to do it the way that everybody else wants to do it. That everybody else says you can do it. You can chart your own path. You can create something almost out of nothing. It's coming out of something because it's coming out of your brain. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you can launch that course. You can offer consulting. You can create content, inspire others, change the world while building an online business. We have the ability to do so much, and the technology look what we're doing right now. We're all over the world. We're talking to each other as if we're in the same room almost, but kind of on a little screen. And we're having an impact on the people that are watching and that are listening. That is amazing. This is an amazing time to be alive. Despite everything that's going on in the world, it is an amazing time to be alive. Now I feel like I'm just ranting. So I'm gonna pause.
I love it. And actually, what you're talking about, a lot of the messages of what you can do now, just thinking what can you tell the people who are worried that right now is a bad time to be starting something new? A lot of people are worried about that.
Oh man. Right now, in my opinion, yeah, okay, I don't want to disregard the fact that these are crazy times. There's a lot that's going on, and there are many people whose lives are being affected in substantial ways. And to ignore that and to act as if, hey, everybody should be fine and just start a business, make a lot of money. I think that's tone deaf, and it's not a reflection of reality. However, right now you have an unprecedented amount of people that are going to the internet, that are consuming content. You've got YouTube and Facebook having to slow down their bandwidth because of how many people are just online consuming content. People consume content, and that is going to continue. And if you have content to share and you're not putting that out there in a way that's beneficial to others, you need to start, because people need help. Even as something as simple as how to go live on Facebook. There's so many people all across the world trying to figure out, how do I do this the right way? Even something as simple as, not simple, this is not simple at all, but different things for homeschooling their kids and so on. If you have information to share about that, share it. Like we live in a world where there's no shortage of information. That's absolutely the fact. But I am going to be able to, there are some people that are going to be able to identify with me differently than they'll be able to identify with someone else. For those people, why would I not show up? Why would I not create that content? Why would I not create that course? Give them that structure. Give them the knowledge and the information, the resources that they need to accomplish whatever it is they want to accomplish in life. I don't see it as this is a bad time to start. No, this is a time when people are in need. And if I have something that can help, I may not be going out and, giving food to those that can't eat, but I'm staying here in my office here and I'm giving food, mental food to people that need to know how to do the types of things that I can help them with. I think it's a perfect time. As long as you're in a position where you can, leverage your time and create assets and create courses and create content and record that podcast episode, why not? Especially if, as a result of what's going on right now, you have a little bit of extra time on your hands. Take advantage of that time and use it, leverage it, so that can help you to build something. So that maybe, what if what's going on right now were to happen in 5 years again? You could be in a better situation then. I am so grateful that I left my job in 2014. I'm so grateful that when I left my job, it was extremely challenging. I had to fight my way through it. I had to struggle to pay bills. I remember my wife coming to me and saying, we need to buy diapers for Noah. And my response to her was, I know, but what are we going to buy it with? That was rough. It was extremely rough. And there are a lot of people that preach that, hey, start this online business and in 30 days with no experience, no list, no blah, 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 you can earn $7,622.85. Whenever I see something like
85 cents, that's the key.
Yes, that's the key. Whenever I hear that, I think to myself, why are we lying to people? Tell people that building a business is hard. Tell people that it is going to be a challenge. They're going to encounter setbacks. There might be times where they're trying to figure out, how in the world am I going to buy diapers for my son? That's the reality of my experience. Yeah. But because what I went through there, now I have a business where, quite frankly, in the midst of this crisis that's going on, it hasn't affected me financially. In fact, I'm doing better now than I was doing a few months ago, not directly because of the crisis, but because of some steps that I've taken in my business. I've been able to build to a point where I can take care of my family. I'm doing well. We get to travel, we get to see the world, we get to do all these different things because I took the time and did the hard work. And now I have a business that I can work on from anywhere in the world. We can go to the Bahamas for a month during, the December holidays, or we can go to St. Martin for a month this year during the holidays. And I can continue working the way I want to work, how I want to work, creating content from the comfort of wherever I am. And to me, it's just been a tremendous blessing. So is it a bad time to start? I don't think it's ever a bad time to start. If you have value to share, and even if you feel like you don't have value to share, you do. Make it happen. Yeah.
So if somebody's just starting now,
Yes.
and we know from experience, because I went through the same thing of what hard work it is. It takes time to get traction and get visitors and customers and stuff like that. What would you recommend? So say you were going back and starting over and doing it now. What would you recommend for really getting going and maybe speeding up that process a bit?
If I were starting over today, I had nothing, I would really try my best to identify a person that has a problem that I could help them solve. In the past, what I would do is I would choose a topic that I am interested in and start creating content. Now that works. But for me, if I can get clear on who it is I am trying to help and what problem I'm going to help them solve, it gives me a more direct path in my mind to monetization. And once I have that direct path in my mind to monetization, I will work according to that path. Now, there are things that you can do to really narrow in, like do a little bit of keyword research. That's a phrase that scares people off very quickly. But I think it's a good idea to do a little bit of at least basic keyword research to see what are people searching for? What problems do they have? What questions are they asking? Because when I start doing that kind of research, that's one thing that I can do. I can also start, asking people, reaching out to that audience. Maybe I don't have an audience as yet, but there are all these communities online that I can go into and I can see what questions are people asking. I might even call up a few of those people that are my potential audience and just start just asking them questions and digging deep into, okay, so when it comes to, let's say I'm teaching people how to edit video using Adobe Premiere or something, just making something up. I'm going to reach out to people maybe on Facebook or in Facebook communities that I see they're getting into video. And I just want to know like what's going on in their minds. Like, what are they dealing with? And just start asking them some basic questions. What struggles do you have? What's unclear to you? If you could wave a magic wand and have all of your problems solved related to editing your videos, what problem would that be? What problem would you solve? Because once I get a good idea of that, now I know, okay, I can create a course teaching how to edit video easily using Adobe Premiere. Maybe they are telling me, man, I really want to edit videos, but it takes so much time. Okay, so that's a key in my mind. Maybe I should keep these videos short. Maybe there are these quick 5-minute videos teaching you everything you need to do in Adobe Premiere. Now, all of a sudden, it's not overwhelming to you. How did I know to do this? Because I started asking you questions. I started doing my research. I started figuring out these are the problems that they are trying to solve. Now I can start thinking in terms of the solution that I can create. So what you'll notice is that I'm actually thinking about the monetization even before I start creating the content. In the past, I used to preach, create content, just put it out there. And eventually you'll figure out a way to monetize. Now that could still be valid. But for me, if I want to build this thing up fast, think about monetization. And now you can start thinking about the content that you can create to bring people in. Because, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, how do you decide on the monetization method? So, you're asking people, what their needs are, their problems to solve. You're going to think ahead to how you're going to monetize and then create the content to lead to that, right?
Absolutely.
But then how do you decide? We're talking online courses in general, but there are other options.
Absolutely. So what I would rely on the information that I'm getting back from my target audience to figure out what would work best for them. One of the questions that I ask people is, how do you prefer to get content? Or how do you prefer to learn about something that you're trying to become an expert in? Do you prefer getting video content? Do you prefer signing up for a course? Well, do you prefer just listening to audio? Do you prefer someone that is working with you, kind of like a coach or a guide, a teacher that you can get on a Zoom call and have them answer your questions? So you can actually ask those kinds of questions to the people that you are trying to serve and use that as kind of clues as to which direction you should go for whatever the monetization model you're trying to choose, if that makes sense. So some people would prefer to get on a Zoom call with me and do like a one-on-one coaching session because they're at a certain point in their business that, they don't want to spend the time and go through all of the courses and so on. They might just prefer to depend on my expertise or to help me guide them through that process. Well, I know that by asking them. And then that's, in my opinion, that's just the beginning, because you could tell me whatever you want until you start spending money on the thing that you said you're going to spend money on. I don't really know that you're going to buy it. So then it becomes like a matter of experimentation. So I might test this monetization model. I might put out a mini course and see how that goes. And if it goes well and people respond very well to it, well, maybe I might try a bigger course. Or I might, put up an offer where I can give a one-on-one consultation for an hour for X amount of dollars. That's a quick way to test. Hey, are people going to pay me to get on a call with them and provide them value in that way? So you can start experimenting with different things and seeing what works for you. Now, there are some people that are going to be more drawn to creating a certain kind of content. Now, for just as an example, you could listen to me in a podcast or you could see me on a video. It's going to be a different kind of energy. And depending on what I'm teaching, like when I was doing the biology blog, I knew that for the kind of content that I would be teaching and just for the kind of personality I have, it makes much more sense to go all in on video because of who I am and what I'd be teaching. So that's exactly what I did. So it's a matter of asking those questions, doing the research, also seeing what's out there and what other people are doing. And then it's a matter of testing things out and seeing what is actually going to work for you.
I love that. It's the research, talking to people, and testing as well. Because I think a lot of people are afraid to go from the free to the paid, and then they never try anything, or they make something and spend months creating it as a paid product, and then it falls flat. Whereas you're saying start out and test different things and see what people are willing to pay for.
Exactly. When I left my job, I started a number of things because I needed to start making money, and I needed to start making money now. Not start, but continue and increase. So I decided I'm going to launch a membership site. So I launched the membership site. I didn't have any content in the membership site. I sold the concept of a membership site, and I said I was going to do a beta test for 20 people. Well, I did a beta test. I sent out the email, 20 people. I went to take a shower. I came back and 20 people had bought. I was like, oh, shoot. So I had to rush and close it up. That was validation of what I
Yeah.
was thinking. People would spend money on a month-to-month basis to get on these calls with me, to get these courses that I would be creating live and all that good stuff. And then I could go now and start creating the content. That was an experiment. It was validated. And 6 years later, I'm still running that membership. So it's a matter of testing things out and seeing how well it does. Because no matter what anyone says, there's no one model that's going to work for everyone. And what happens is, us as course creators or membership site owners or online instructors or whatever you want to call us, we know we have this model in our mind and we think this is the model. Everybody needs to sign up because if they sign up, then they could pay me and then all is well with the world. But the reality is, you got to find what works best for you.
Yeah. And what you enjoy doing as well. So finding
Absolutely.
that match between what your customers want, your audience, and what you enjoy doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect scenario. They love it. I love it. We all love it. Just that's what more do we want? Let's just have a happy whatever. I love you. You love me. We're a happy family. However you want to put it.
So what was that first membership, and what was your first course?
Yeah. So that membership was called my Become a Blogger Premium at the time. And basically what it was is access to courses about blogging. And I had the premium, and then when I relaunched it, I had premium and premium plus, if I remember right. And the premium plus included the ability to come on these live coaching calls, whereas the premium was just access to the community and the training where I was teaching you about blogging. Now that's evolved over time. Now I have my Become a Blogger coaching club, which includes some of those courses and some other workshops and so on, in a community. You ask questions, you get video answers and those kinds of things. So it's evolved over time, but I'm still focused. Well, that's still one of the things that I am focused on right now.
So what was your first course? If you were, just starting with one, because you've built up over the years.
My first paid course or free course?
Both.
Okay, so my first free course was called the 7-Day Bootcamp. And the idea behind that was, in 7 days, you're going to go through one video training a day for 7 days. And by the end of the 7 days, you're going to have your blog set up and running. You're going to have your email list set up and all that good stuff. And the idea behind that was, yes, it was free, but I was getting affiliate commissions and so on. So it was one of my first attempts at teaching people something and getting paid indirectly to make it happen. So I did that for a while. And then from there, that's when I actually partnered with, I don't know if you know Gideon Shalwick and Yaro Starak, but these two guys that started the Become a Blogger brand, and I partnered with them to launch Become a Blogger. And the Become a Blogger was just a course teaching you how to blog. So we launched that, and then it evolved to where I decided to do the membership site version when I left my job. And that was where you pay a monthly fee in order to get access to some of those courses, but then we would do a new course every month for 6 months or something of that sort. And then it just kind of evolved from there. But those were the main courses that I've done.
So for the paid ones, how did you decide what to charge? Somebody was actually, Gail, I think, was just asking this as well. How did you decide for each of those?
Yeah, so the first time I did the paid, it was in partnership with the two other guys, and they did that course before, so they just charged the same thing. I just went along. It was one of those situations where these guys that I'd been following asked me if I wanted to partner, and I was like, yes, this will be amazing. I will do whatever you want, however you want. Let's just do it. So the price at that point, what was the price? I don't even remember what it was $97 a month for 6 months or something of that sort. I think that was the price point. No, it was $47 a month for 6 months.
Okay.
Or you pay two something for the whole thing. I don't remember exactly what the annual price was. So that was I just depended on them. Since then, like when I launched my membership site, I always have in my mind that there are different levels. There's like the $17 level, the 27, the 47, the 67, the 97, and then it kind of goes from there. When I left my job, I charged $27 a month for my membership. How did I choose that? I just chose it, and I felt comfortable with that price at that point in time. And especially since it was the beta pricing, in my mind, I wanted it to be $47, but I would start it at 27, and then I'd increase it to 37, and then I'd take it up to 47. And maybe I might go up from there. That's what was going on in my mind at the time. But I just chose something. I looked at other courses that were somewhat comparable, and I see what they were charging, and I just chose something that I was comfortable with. The way I look at pricing is this. You have a product that you want to sell. You look to see what people are doing in the space. You get an idea of what is it on the low end, what is it on the high end. Where are you comfortable in between that to come in? You start there, and then at that point, you just work on increasing the price up until you reach to a point of diminishing returns. So if you start at 27 and you made 100 sales, then you increase it to 37 and you made 100 sales. Okay, well, you could probably bring it up some more. So you increase it to 47, you made 100. You increase it to 67 and you made 90 sales. You're still doing pretty good. But if at a point you reach to a point where you increase it and you see diminishing returns, that's an indication that, okay, you're reaching that point where you may want to consider lowering it down a little bit. That's the way I generally will approach pricing. Pick something in between the range where you feel comfortable starting. Sometimes even push yourself a little higher, because oftentimes you will attribute lower value to what you actually have because it's so common to you. You think everybody should know it, but push yourself a little bit. And then I look at all of this as a test. You're always testing. Put it out there. See how people respond. If you get a favorable response, then consider increasing it and going until you reach that point of diminishing returns.
Okay, great advice. I think we should probably look at a few of the questions while we're going through, because we can just keep talking. Let's see.
And I've been surprisingly quiet. I just want to point that out.
I know. I know you have. Well, we have Leslie here, so we can be quiet this time.
I've been unsurprisingly not quiet.
All right, let's get a few of these questions because I have a ton, but we need to see what people have asked. So how did you drive people to your blog? Did you send it out to friends and family first?
Oh, great question. So let's go with the biology blog, because with that one, we'll start with that. With the biology blog, I knew that I wanted to go all in on video. So I decided that I was going to focus on YouTube and learning how to use YouTube to drive traffic. Okay. That was the first thing that I did. I decided, I'm going to learn about how to optimize for the YouTube algorithm, how to title my videos and how to structure my videos so that it's engaging, and then how to have calls to action at the end. Hey, if you enjoyed this video and you want more resources for making biology fun, head on over to interactivebiology.com for more biology awesomeness. And I had it down to a science. So that was one of the first things that I did. I figured out the platform, or went through learning the platform, leveraging the platform to drive people to the site. Once I started doing that, I knew that the fastest way to get traffic is from people that already have traffic. So I started reaching out to other biology bloggers. Now, my content was great, and I knew that for a fact. So I had confidence that when I reached out to people, if they saw it, they would take a second look and think about actually sharing it with their audiences. But even then, when I reached out to people, this is a mistake that so many people make. And I get these emails every day. Hey, I have this blog post or this website. I think your people would love it. Can you just send me the traffic? Essentially, that's what they're saying. That makes no sense, because what you are telling me is, hey, I've seen you've done a lot of work over the last decade, and I want to take advantage of that. Can you just give me a perfectly random stranger your hard work? The
Hell
answer
no.
is no. It is going to be no. So here's what I did. I found biology bloggers. I checked out their blogs, and I said, how could I help them? And I remember there was one blogger in particular. I knew she was getting a ton of traffic because I was a biology teacher. And no matter what I searched for in my classes, she showed up on page number 1. I'm like, okay, this is a good sign. She's getting traffic. I want me some of that traffic. So I reached out to her, and I said, because I noticed she was having some issues with her site, some WordPress related issues. So I reached out to her and I said to her, I said, hi, I love your site. And this was authentic because I loved her site. I use it in my classes all the time. And I told her that. And I told her my students love it. And I thank you for what you are creating. That was 100% genuine. And then I said to her, I noticed you're having some issues with WordPress. On this page, I don't remember what the issue was. I explained to her the issues, and I said, I would be happy to fix all of that for you 100% free of charge, because I know you're doing a good service to the world. How can I help you with this? And then I said at the end, by the way, I do have a biology blog with videos. You can check it out here. Literally, that was it. And I remember the email I got back from her. She emailed me back. She said, thank you so much for your generous offer. She said, I am so busy that I don't even know how to take you up on this offer, but thank you. And then she said, by the way, checked out your site. It is awesome. I've always wanted to do something like that. I wrote about it here. I was like, wait, you wrote about it here? So I click on the link, and I saw she literally wrote, found this cool biology site with videos. Check it out here. And that is how I got 400 people that first month. I was on cloud 9, but I reached out from the perspective of, how can I serve you? And I did that for a number of different people. Fast forward a month later, I sent her an email and I said, hey, thank you so much. People have been coming from your site and they've been loving the content. I really appreciate you. Now, I noticed she had some links in her sidebar to biology sites. And if it's in the sidebar, it's on every page. So I reached out to her and I said, by the way, I see you have some links in your sidebar. Would you consider adding me there? And she replied, one word, done. Now, when she replied done, I went over. Interactive biology is linked on every single page. Traffic spiked. Then other bloggers started seeing it over there. They started linking to it. You see, you got to think about how can you get maximum leverage? And in order to get that maximum leverage, you have to think about, what can I do for this person that has the leverage, as opposed to what can they do for me? And if I look back at how I've grown any aspect of my business, it has always been through relationships where I volunteer to help the people that I know have the ability to have a positive impact on my business. Now, I'm helping people who don't have the ability to have a positive impact on my business, but I'm also strategically looking for people that I can, whether it's collaborate with. I'm on here right now, and as a result of being on here, some people are going to say, hey, this Leslie guy seems kind of interesting. Let me go and check him out. It's all about connecting with people. How do you get people there? You got to connect with people. You can try all the SEO tricks and tactics that you want, but you're not going to get as far as if you just think about how you can connect and engage with real people in real ways.
Absolutely. And actually, I have the link. I actually have two links here if people do want to connect with you. Is this the right one, Become a Blogger, or the podcast?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
they can go to becomeablogger.com and they'll find out about everything that I have going on.
Yeah, because there's a link in the top menu there. I found this Blogging with Leslie is your podcast.
That is the podcast, yes.
Yeah, because I was listening to a couple of those episodes
Awesome.
beforehand. It was, yeah, if you want to learn about pretty much anything with online business, it's there.
Absolutely.
So if people do want to reach out, Leslie, that's the place, becomeablogger.com.
Yep.
So I'm going to go back and see what other questions we have going on here. Where'd we go? So there was another thing. Here, Gail said, I'd love to hear about using blogging and podcasting to promote our courses and books. How can you build your audience and how to get started? So talked about some of that, but what would be the key things for getting started and using that?
Awesome. Okay. So once again, we know what we're selling. We have, in this case, we're selling a course. Then we're going to ask ourselves the question, the people that would be interested in this course, what content are they interested in? What relevant content are they interested in? I wish you could tell us what her course is about, but I'll give an example as in terms of mine. I have a membership site teaching people how to blog. Well, then I'm going to start creating content on how to get started with a blog, how to even come up with a blog topic. I'm going to start creating content about, how do you get traffic to your blog? I'm going to start creating all of the content that I know that these people are interested in. And I'm going to do that on my blog or via my podcast. I do it via both. I do the blog, the podcast, and the videos, just because I'm a content junkie. But you start creating those pieces of content. Think from the perspective of this ideal client, this ideal customer. What do they care about? What do they want to know about? And you start creating that content. That's the first part of it. The first part is creating it. The second part is getting it in front of them. How do they even know that the content exists? Now, fortunately, today we have all of these social media platforms. And what people attempt to do often is, okay, I need to be on social media. Okay, so let me start my Facebook page. Let me start my Twitter account. Let me start my Pinterest. Let me get on TikTok and do some weird dances. Let me do this. Let me do all of these different platforms. And I'm going to just get all this traffic coming from all these different directions. And I'm going to have to throw people away because too many people are coming. That's not the way it works. Just like I did with YouTube. I said, I am going to focus on YouTube and I'm going to leverage YouTube to grow the traffic to my blog. So I learned about the platform. I figured out what are people doing on the platform. I took courses in how to leverage YouTube in order to get people to my blog. Those are the kinds of things you want to do. Pick a platform and try to learn as much as possible about it, and then leverage that to drive people to the blog. In addition to that, especially if you're doing blogging, you want to start learning about search engine optimization because Google is a significant source of traffic. So start educating yourself on how to optimize your content where the search engines are concerned. Learn about, for example, using the Yoast SEO plugin and how you can use that to your advantage. Learn about how to format your posts so that they are going to be more likely to be ranked in Google. Learn about those things. It's all about picking your platforms, learning as much as possible, and then starting to experiment and test and tweak and see what's working, because there's no one size fits all. For me, the biology blog, it was all about YouTube, and it was all about reaching out to people. Even in reaching out to people, learn about the effective ways to do that. Because there are effective ways to do that. And you can literally find courses on how to reach out to people. It's all out there. So pick your platform. And once you know the platforms, learn as much as possible about it, about those platforms, and then start testing and tweaking. Next thing you know, you have your 10 visitors, you have your 100 visitors, your 400 visitors, your 800 visitors, and it continues to build over time. One more thing I have to mention, because most of the people that come to your blog, that listen to your podcast and all that good stuff, that they found you on social media or they found you in Google, they will come, consume, and leave. That is not what you want. So you want to make sure you have a way to capture them. You want to make sure you're building your email list. How do you do that? You create something of value that they can sign up for in exchange for that magical email address. And once you're doing that in a way that makes sense, it's almost like it's the next logical step. Someone came to my blog because they wanted to learn about biology. They read this content or they watch this video or they listen to this podcast and they're struggling in their biology class. It's helpful to them. They see I have this resource, the 7 tips to easily pass your biology classes or something along those lines. They're like, I want to pass my biology class. Let me get these 7 tips. So they give me their email address. When they give me their email address, they get this follow-up sequence that's providing them with more value and more insight. They're like, I love what this guy has to offer. When I launch my course, they are right there standing in line. But besides that, once they're on your email list, it makes it much easier for you to get them to come back to your blog. So now it's not like you're starting from scratch every time. No, now you have 100 people on your email list that whenever you send out a post, you can send it to them as well. Now you have 1,000 people that whenever you have a post, you can send a link to them and they can check it out. In addition to the people that are coming from search engines and from Google and from social media and all those things. So over time, what you're doing is you're building and building and building and building. And as your traffic grows, once you have your courses, once you have your monetization model, your income continues to grow.
And actually, I was just going to share something a second. I want to show me, let's see if this will work. Where on here, on your site, is your opt-in that you do?
All right, so
so
you're on the homepage right there.
There's the homepage.
Okay, it says, I'm Leslie. Let me help you go from idea to blog. When I click on that, when you click on that button, it's going to take you right here from idea to blog. You can get started. There's a video there that welcomes you. And if you click on that button or you click on any of the other videos, you enter your name and your email address.
Awesome.
Very simple process. You create something of value. In my case, I'm creating something that's showing them how to go from idea to blog.
Yeah, I love it. And and then you have a really, really targeted group of leads.
Absolutely.
Audience.
Because most likely, if you want to go from idea to blog, you also want to grow that blog. You also want to make money with that blog. You might want to have a course that you sell. You might want to offer consulting or coaching or whatever the case might be. So now you can find out about my coaching club, and then eventually you join that and the party continues.
Oh, you know what I meant to ask before we look at other questions? Do you have a favorite keyword tool that you use?
Yes.
Researching that?
I use Ubersuggest.
Oh, okay.
And
that's what Sarah introduced me to also. Yes,
the reason I use it is because it is the most cost-effective one that I've found, and it gives you a lot of this similar data that many that you're paying $100 a month are going to give you. And you're paying, in this case, you can use it for free and get limited data, or you can pay $10 a month and get access to everything. And I find it works very well.
Yeah, and that's part of Neil Patel's blog and stuff. Yep.
That is correct.
So let me see what we missed here, because there's lots of comments, which, by the way, we've got Desi Ann said, enjoying the session so far. Love your enthusiasm.
Awesome. Thank you.
Can't resist. We got Kenneth here from North Carolina. Great show. We've got Debbie here. Says, if you want to build your email list as fast as possible, how would you do it?
If I want to build my email list as fast as possible, how would I do it? There are a number of ways you can do it. Number one, I would, like, if I were starting right now and I wanted to build it as fast as possible, I would think, who can I leverage and who can I provide value to that already has access to the audience that I am looking to grow from. And then I would reach out to that person and I would try to start a relationship where they can see that, hey, I have something very specific that I can offer to your audience that is unique and that I believe they're going to get a ton of value from. Now, I wouldn't just pitch it that way. I would start with the relationship first. I would be researching this person and figuring out how can I go about connecting with them in a way that is authentic. And then if it leads in that direction, I'd be doing this with multiple people. If it leads in that direction, you never know. You might be able to do a webinar for their audience on how to do XYZ that is very relevant to whatever it is their audience is dealing with right now. That is one of the ways that you can do it. Another way that you can do it if you want to grow your email list as fast as possible is, now you have to understand how to do this well, but you can drive ads to a very specific lead magnet, whether it's or you could do a webinar and you're driving ads to that webinar. Now, the complication with that is I don't generally recommend for people to run ads if they don't know what they're doing and how to target the right audiences and all of that good stuff. But if you know what you're doing there, then you could pay for those leads. Those are some of the first things that come to mind. Collaborate with someone that already has that audience, or number two, pay to get that audience.
Okay. Yep. Totally. And yeah, using ads is always risky if you don't know what you're doing, since it also changes all the time. Let's see. We already answered this one, which is about the keyword research. It's Ubersuggest. And Sarah, did you type that in as well, the link? Uber, I think it's ubersuggest.org. I think you talked a little bit about this already. Barbara asked, what are your best tips to come up with enough ideas to regularly create interesting content? I mean, you had mentioned the keyword research, but also talking to people.
Absolutely, but there's another one that's very simple. You don't have to be very technical to come up with this or anything of that sort. Think about your target audience and just kind of randomly say, okay, what questions are they asking? If you really know who you're trying to target, you have an idea of what questions they're asking. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to set a 30-minute timer. And when you set that 30-minute timer, it doesn't have to be a super fancy timer. It could be like a kitchen timer. It could be any kind of timer. You can go to Google and just do a search for 30-minute timer, and a timer is going to show up. You take out a pen and paper, and then you just start writing down questions. Just write them down. You'd be surprised at how many content ideas you can come up with by just doing that simple activity. And by doing that now, okay, you wrote down 50 questions in that 30 minutes. Guess what? You got a year of content right there, and you can just start going through that list. Now, obviously, I recommend you do some keyword research to find out, okay, which ones are really some of the good ones and that kind of stuff. But at least you have something to start with. I find a lot of people that are struggling for content ideas, it's because they sit down to write a post for next week, and they're like, oh, what can I write? What can I write? And now it's like this big task to come up with this one topic. No, sit down, set the timer, and just force yourself to come up with as many as you can, and you'd be amazed at how much content ideas you have.
That's a great idea. It's kind of like the free writing idea where you just
Absolutely
set the timer and just write and don't self-edit at all either.
Exactly.
You can always delete them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Desi Ann asked, do you use other platforms? Is your focus YouTube and your blog? Well, we haven't really talked about your podcast either.
We haven't spoken about my podcast. My podcast is actually my main platform over the last few years. And here is why. I find that I can go much deeper in my podcast than I can in a blog post, because someone will spend 45 minutes listening to my podcast on the way to work or while they're walking around cleaning the house or whatever the case might be. They will never read my 45-minute article. So my podcast is my main content. And with that, of course, you're leveraging iTunes and all of the podcast directories. In addition to that, because podcasting is a big thing for me, being featured on other podcasts and being interviewed on other podcasts, that's a great way to grow my podcast. So yes, my podcast is the main way that I've been creating content over the last few years. Besides that, main platforms, I have not been as focused on YouTube for Become a Blogger, but that is changing. I am getting ready to go all in on YouTube right now, even though we have about 12, 13,000 subscribers on there. I want to really focus on now growing that because I've never done that to date. So YouTube is going to be my main platform, and the secondary social platform for me is going to be Instagram.
Oh, okay. So you're going to work more on the Instagram, and you put your videos there.
Absolutely.
As well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Videos and images and all kinds of stuff. I'm not as focused on there as yet because I like to focus on what I'm focusing on for a while and build a system so that that's happening the way it's supposed to happen. We're working on YouTube now, and then we'll head on over to Instagram. Most of what I've done and the exposure that I've gotten has been old school relationships, connecting with people, talking, meeting at events, and hey, you want to be on my show? Absolutely. I'd love to come on and provide value to your audience. So those are the main things that I've been doing.
It's awesome. And actually, I know we're running out of time because I was trying to keep this to an hour. So I just want to last couple of questions. So what would you say is your most important tool that you use? Or actually, Sarah, you had the question of what's the most important piece of equipment that you use. You can use more. You can say more than one. That's okay.
Okay, so the most important piece of equipment that I use personally is gonna have to be, oh man, that's a tricky one because the camera is right there. But in terms of, okay, this one thing has sped up my workflow significantly. And that is this device right here. It's an Elgato Stream Deck. I don't know if I have it set up right now, but oh, look at that. So I can do that. And then I could show you my screen and I can do this. And I can, like, there's a whole lot that I can do right here. Now, with that, what this does for me is whenever someone asks me a question inside my members area, what most course creators will do is they will write out a response. But it's faster for me to say, start record, talking to the camera. Let me show you on my screen, show on the screen, and then I do the things. I show you exactly how to do whatever I need to show you. And within a minute, I have a professionally produced video that looks like I took time to edit it, but it took less time to do this than it would have for me to just type out a response for you.
What was that called again? That's so cool.
This is the Elgato Stream Deck. Now, it's not going to work by itself. I have a program in the back there that is, this is controlling the program. I'm using vMix on a PC. You can use Ecamm Live on a Mac. There are a bunch of these live streaming programs that you can use, but I basically jerry-rigged it to just record videos professionally, quickly, and easily, and that makes it so much easier for me to do everything that I need to do. I have my camera here. It's always set up. When I'm ready to go, I literally will come here and turn on my lights. Camera is on. My teleprompter is in front of me, and I'm just doing what I got to do by pressing buttons.
Oh, I'm getting jealous now. I'm getting shiny object jealousy. It's something new.
I know the feeling.
Oh, and Jennifer showed it, Elgato Stream. It's the
Stream
bee's
Deck.
knees. Oh no, I'm gonna need this now.
For live streaming, it is amazing. You could bring on lower thirds and graphics and images and all kinds. You could do basically everything without having to click around and so on. Once it takes some setting up to make it happen, but once it's set up, it just makes life super easy.
I want
what, Sarah?
That's
You
it.
want it, right?
I know both of us are like getting eager to go check it out. So
Yeah, we're gonna
do you have
we're gonna go and
any
buy this now?
any last words of advice for people going off and wanting to get involved in, I mean, we talked about blogging, podcasting, YouTube, all for building an audience and sending people to your online course eventually.
Absolutely. When it comes to what we do online, there are so many great people that don't get started because of fear. There are so many people that have so much to offer that don't do it because they feel like, I am not this world-renowned expert. And I can't do it because I am not, and they insert the name of this person over here. The reality is, I know more than you where certain things are concerned. And you know more than me where certain other things are concerned. And where those other things are concerned, you can teach me something. If you can teach me something, there is value in that. Don't be so caught up in looking at those people that you think are the experts, because you know what? They started somewhere as well. And if you look back in time to when they started, you'd probably think, man, who is this person? Why are they doing some of the most popular video creators that I've seen on the planet? I like to go to their YouTube channels and then sort the videos by oldest and watch their first video. And you look at some of the stuff and you're like, oh, I would never put this out. And if you would make that statement, that's probably why you haven't put it out there. So I want to encourage you to get started. If you are already started, I want to encourage you, always focus on, we get the ability, this is what I love, we get the ability to create the life we want to live. Yeah. And in order to create the life you want to live, you have to live the life you want to create. What I mean by that is, if you want to be a video creator, a podcaster, or whatever the case might be, you have to start living that life. And maybe you're living it in small ways. The small ways lead to the big ways. So constantly ask yourself, how can I improve what I do? How can I take what I'm doing right now to the next level? And if you continue to push yourself, you will continue to grow. And if you continue to grow, you will continue to get better. And that is what it's all about. Also, if you are at a point in your business, you're doing pretty well, and maybe you want to take it up a little bit, and maybe you want some guidance, I want to encourage you to reach out to me, because like I said, I do offer coaching, and I would be happy to get on a free 90-minute coaching experience with you if it makes sense for us to do that. So feel free to reach out to me, and yeah, I hope you guys got value from all of this stuff, and go out there and create content, inspire others, and change the world while building a successful, thriving online business.
That's awesome. And that's the right URL for people to reach out to you, right?
That is correct.
Become-a-blogger.com.
Contact and just reach out to me personally.
Oh, this was so awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. I know everybody got a lot, and everyone who listens to the replay was so inspiring. Create content, inspire change. Wait, what? Say it again.
Create content, inspire others, and change the world while building a ridiculously successful business. Every time I say it, I have to add a little bit of something.
Fabulously. Yes.
Yeah, fabulously.
Tremendously. We'll come up with some new ones.
For having me on.
Thank you so much. All right. Take care now. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye-bye.